Hello, welcome everyone. It is FMC. I am Jeremy. That is SP3. It is Tuesday, June 25th. We are on the eve of the NBA draft. It's a two-night event for some dumb reason because, we just want to watch. Oh, yeah. Do you not know this?
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
I'm breaking news to you. It's tomorrow night.
To me. Like, what?
It's tomorrow night. The first night is tomorrow night, SV3. It's up against, Dynamite. So people can blame that on the Dynamite rating if they want to. And then night two is on Thursday.
One of those people who only watches wrestling around WrestleMania and they first realize that WrestleMania is 2 nights. Like, that's how I thought. Like, what?
I have no idea why they wanted to do. I guess because the NBA or NFL does it, and they're like, "Oh, the NFL, it's a 2-night affair. It's big news." But like, there's 7 rounds in the NFL. There's 2 rounds in the NBA draft. Does the second round really need its own night? Like, this thing's already long enough as it is. It goes until like 1 a.m. most nights. Like, you know what actually be helpful? Just condense the first round. We don't need 15 minutes between all these picks. They know who they want. They don't need 15 minutes to decide. So dumb. But yes, it's 2 nights.
Mind blown completely off of that. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. Well, at least the first round will they can start at 8 or 7 and be done by like 10:30.
Maybe.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
No.
God willing.
No, probably not. Probably not. I don't know if Louis is in the chat or will be in the chat. He could probably give us some insight on the actual draft. All I know is Alex Sarr is possibly going in the first round. He's the brother of OKC player Oliver Sarr. And then Cody Williams, the brother of Jalen Williams, J-Dub, is projected to be a first-round pick as well. Those are the only draft prospects that I know. Don't know where they're going to go. And Bronny. Who knows what's going to happen with Bronny.
Bronny James, the real sleeper pick. The real sleeper pick, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we all need to be focused on. I know about Zachary. What is it?
Zach Giddey.
Sure. Yeah, Zach Giddey. So yeah. I know he's in there. Yeah, Alex Sarr, Reed Shepard, Stephen Castle. Sure. Yeah, I couldn't. If you put them all on a lineup, I probably couldn't tell you who is who.
I don't know who these people are. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a draft expert. I'm not going to be on here other shows where they're talking heads and they get on here and they're like, "Oh, we have to talk about this. Let me pretend like I know what's going on." Like Stephen A. Smith in hockey. Not going to do that. I don't know who these people are. I'm not going to.
Stephen A. Smith talking to black women or women in general.
Stephen A. Smith just talking at this point.
Yeah. Seems to be a difficult thing for him.
Yeah.
I feel bad for it. No, I don't. I don't feel bad for him. I'll be honest.
No, he's getting paid millions. I don't feel bad for that dude at all. Kidding me?
No one should be feel bad for Stephen A. Smith and his inability to talk to women. He's gonna be what? He's gonna be 60 years old and he's gonna still be single. Well, my good friend here, Jeremy, is married. I'm celebrating an anniversary today, so we're all good over here. We're much better at talking to women than Stephen A. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Happy anniversary. We do have something much more important to talk about. Since we don't know too much about the NBA draft yet, maybe Louis will show up in the chat. He will help us out. He'll give us some names to where they might go, if they might go to our teams. One player who did go to my team, formerly on your team, former Laker great. I'll say it for you. Former Laker great, Alex Caruso, traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Josh Giddey. I was in the middle of a conversation with my lovely wife. We were talking about actually Pat McAfee, and this is when the Wyatts shut down his show, and there were the big conspiracy theories going around of like, oh, he was talking to a veteran and it got shut down and all of this stuff. And we were just talking about, oh boy, the political sides have discovered pro wrestling here, and they think something is this big old conspiracy theory. And I turned around for a second to check my timeline, and I saw Woj had tweeted Alex Caruso to the Thunder for Josh Giddey. And I was like, oh, it's past 5 minutes. I could technically curse. I was like, oh, shit. And she's like, what? I was like, Thunder just made a trade. I got to call Sammer. So I hop on the phone with Sammer, and we talk for like a half hour or so. I'm so excited, SP3. This is the move we needed to make. This is a move we needed to make. Josh Giddey, I think he has upside. I'm not going to completely write off Josh Giddey as a 21-year-old who still has NBA skills, certainly with his playmaking ability. I'm not going to write him off. He was not a fit for this team. He wasn't. He wasn't going to have the ball in his hands because Shea has the ball in his hands. J-Dub became a better just overall playmaker and scorer this past season than Giddey. Chet's going to need the ball more moving forward. So he was the fourth option at best. When you're the fourth option, usually you're not going to have the ball in your hands a whole lot. You're a shooter at that point. Maybe you're running the bench unit. And Sam Presti said, yeah, we wanted Josh to come off the bench, and that was the best way to maximize him because playing with J-Dub and Shea, he just wasn't going to touch the ball a whole lot. So it made sense for him to come off the bench. Giddey said, yeah, I don't really want to come off the bench. I feel I have higher upside than that. Makes sense, honestly. Yeah. Makes sense for him to feel that way. So we traded for the ultimate glue guy. Caruso is a guy that everybody wanted at the trade deadline last year. The Bulls reportedly wanted like 5 first-round picks or something for him. They got Josh Giddey, so great management work by them. But the ultimate glue guy of who's going to play defense, he's going to play every possession of defense like his is the last. He shot 41% from 3 last year. Doesn't need the ball in his hands, but can play make. Fits this team perfectly. Veteran guy, championship experience. Exactly what this team needed. So excited. So excited.
Yeah, really good trade by the OKC Thunder. And this is why people should be watching FMC, because we literally said this last week. We said that the Thunder needed a trade, and we said that Josh Giddey was the guy to trade, and then you see what happens. We are good at telling what the future is going to foretell. 2 weeks ago, we talked about how Dan Hurley was dropped, and I said the Lakers' best option was JJ Redick, and you see what happened this week. So you need to be watching, especially if you're an OKC Thunder fan or if you're intrigued on the OKC Thunder. This man knows it a lot. He is not only a great fan, he analyzes things, and he looks at the roster, and he knows the moves that they got to make. And this guy right here is your Laker expert, and I saw the future 3 weeks ago when I said that JJ Redick was the best option for us, and you see what happened here. But like I said, Alex Caruso, Laker great. You guys traded an offender for a defender. So I'll make all the jokes and all the memes that we saw on social media this week right here for you right now, and I'll say that the Thunder, get a grade of A- for getting Alex Caruso, and the Bulls get an A-.
You messed up the joke.
I'm giving it an A-. I'm giving it an A-. I know that they say, gave it an A, and then no.
A-.
It's an A-. It's an A-, and the Bulls get an A-.
That was a good one that I saw on social media. That was really good. I figured they would trade Giddey in the offseason because it became very apparent that he just wasn't going to fit with the current iteration of the team. I thought they would have to probably attach one of the 3 million draft picks to the trade because his value is pretty low coming off the playoffs. So I figured, all right, attach some draft capital, maybe get an upgrade at the power forward position because they still need a big. And I think they're going to go after a big. The offseason just started. July 1st is free agency. The draft is tomorrow. Plenty of trades I'm sure will happen. So I think they'll end up getting a big somewhere. I figured Giddey draft capital for a big, fine. Probably a good trade because you just need guys who fit the current vision for the team. And that again, that was not Josh Giddey. The fact that they traded him for Alex Caruso, who is a perfect fit on this team, without having to give up another young player, without having to give up one of the draft picks, two of the draft picks, three of the draft picks, home run deal for OKC. Yeah. Absolutely home run deal. They still need an upgrade at the forward position. I think they'll find that somewhere. Again, free agency, they got a lot of money to play with. They still have draft capital if they do want to make a trade. To me, this is a sign that there were two signs, really. The first one, they saw that Giddey, even before trading him, they saw something needed to change, and they needed to change something in their starting lineup because they asked Giddey to come off the bench, which shows they wanted to make a starting lineup change regardless. They wanted to change and put people in a better position to help the team succeed long term, just by asking him to come off the bench and be the sixth man. So they saw that immediately right there. The second bigger picture here is by trading him, getting a guy like Caruso, it's signaling we know our window is now. You don't trade for Alex Caruso if you think you're going to compete 2-3 years from now. In that case, you just keep Giddey. You hope you figure out how it works with the young team and you move forward. They see the window is now. I talked about this. Yeah. I talked about this so many times, SP3. You know this. My friend Sammer knows this. They got a 2-year window. I'm not saying it's shut after 2 years. I'm saying they have a 2-year window where it's wide open for them because they have Shea on his contract. They have Dort on a decent enough contract, and that's it. They're not paying Dub. He's on a rookie deal. They're not paying Chet. He's on a rookie deal. They have max money, close to it anyway, these next 2 years. So you have 2 years where you can throw a bunch of money at these free agents before you got to pay Dub and pay Chet, who I'm sure are going to get paid plenty. Or you have 2 years to make a trade to fit in this 2-year window to go after a title. Because again, it's not closed after these 2 years, but then it just becomes tougher because now you got Shea, Dub, Chet all taking up basically max contract slots.
I think it's better to say basically how open is the window in the next 2 years. You right now, you guys were basically before last year, you guys were just opening the window. You had your hands on the cylinder and you're just opening the window. Then y'all got the first place, so the window's open. So your window to win a championship is open by your performance last season, getting the number 1 spot in the West. But it's only open like this. In the next 2 years, it could be wide open where your window can be open for the next 5 years after this 2-year period if you make the right moves and capitalize on the fact that you have J-Dub on a rookie deal, that you have Chet on a rookie deal. I think it's better to say that than say your window's only open for 2 years, because that's not the case. Your guys are young. Your window's going to be open for a while, but how open is your window is going to be determined in the next 2 years.
Shady saying the deal's pretty fair for both sides. I think OKC can benefit like a vet, especially on defense, especially come playoff time. Chicago needs to rebuild too, so taking the shot with Giddey. Look, I think Giddey is definitely, his stock is definitely low coming off the playoffs. He was unplayable in the Mavericks series. He ended up being benched by the end of the series. He came off the bench at the end of the series instead of being a starter. He was not a fit because he couldn't shoot from 3. And he doesn't threaten the defense enough with the ball in his hands. Nobody's worried about a guy who, he's not great at getting to the paint. His finishing, not great. It doesn't really shoot from 3. Doesn't really look or create his own shot. Good passer, but the Mavericks didn't care about his passing. They were just going to pack the paint and dare him to do something, and he was afraid to do it. So it just wasn't going to work.
It basically sounds like the Bulls got their Lonzo Ball replacement.
Like, I've seen people say that. Lonzo's a good shooter from 3.
He turned into a good shooter. When he left the Lakers, he turned into a good shooter in New Orleans. He was he basically he was Josh Giddey, but when he was on the Lakers.
Lonzo also very good defender. Giddey, fine. defender, not spectacular. Like has the size and the length to be a good defender, but yeah, I mean Lonzo on the Lakers couldn't shoot. He shot 37% from 3 in New Orleans, and then he shot 42% from 3 in Chicago. Definitely turned into a good shooter. Giddey, not a good shooter. Not. I think there can be some improvement there, but he looks a little gun shy to shoot the ball. And I don't know what they're going to do with the rest of that team. I think that's also going to determine something too, because you don't want to take the ball out of Kobe White's hands. You don't want to take the ball out of Zach LaVine's hands. You don't want to take the ball out of DeMar DeRozan's hands. So Giddey
Are they going to keep those guys though?
Well, that's what it comes down to.
If they're on the rebuild with trading Caruso, I think it's basically a foreshadowing that they are on their rebuild tip. And does someone like DeMar DeRozan want to try to win a championship? You just were at a championship celebration with the pop out on Kendrick Lamar's stage, so you want to know how a championship feels. Like, could we see DeMar DeRozan go to the Lakers? Maybe I wouldn't mind DeMar DeRozan over here, but I doubt that happens. But as I always felt for like the past 2-3 years, DeMar DeRozan, a great spot for him to go, and especially with the team they have now coming off the finals, I think the Dallas Mavericks would be a great spot for him, where they need that third guy, and he's a guy that he can get his own shot by having the ball in his hands, but he can also play off the ball as well. He's a good defender, not the best defender, but a good defender. So I think that would be a good spot for him. I know I've heard Miami in the past. So DeMar DeRozan, I think, is a guy that the Bulls, I wouldn't be surprised. And I would even say it's above 60%. I think the Bulls are going to try to look for a deal for DeMar.
Well, DeMar's a free agent. DeMar's a free agent, so he can just straight up walk. And based on the Bulls signaling that like a move like this doesn't sound like they're going to try to compete. The Bulls can still make him the best offer, because of the free agency and how rights work. But yeah, he's a free agent. I would assume he looks elsewhere. LaVine's contract, I don't know what they're going to do with LaVine's contract. There were a lot of rumors he was going to get traded at the deadline last year. Obviously, that didn't happen. He got injured, and so nobody really wanted to kind of make that move. We'll see if they try to come off of that contract. Now I'm sure they're going to try. The question is,
try, but I don't think anybody's going to take that.
Somebody will take it. Somebody will. Like, it is the NBA. Zach LaVine is still a very good player, a very good scorer, a very good offensive player, who someone will talk themselves into. You know what? It's the old we can fix it. We can fix him syndrome. Every team, there's at least one team out there who has the we can fix him syndrome. There will be somebody out there for Zach LaVine feeling like, didn't work in Chicago, but look at the upside. Anytime you can get a 29-year-old coming off of multiple injuries, we can fix him.
Love how that sounds. 29, coming off multiple injuries, a gross contract. Hey, we can fix him.
Yeah. There's a team out there. Some team, the Wizards, will be dumb enough to be like, you know what? Yeah. We can do something with Zach LaVine. Some team out there will do it. Shady mentioning Philly. Philly's a very interesting case because Paul George can be a free agent, but it sounds like he might just opt in and work on a trade. And in that case, like if you're Philly, giving up something for Paul George, like you still probably have to do it, but then it just weakens your team. And how many times have we seen like these teams weaken themselves because they're making a trade like this? The most recent example, there's really two examples. Dallas fixed themselves, but Dallas, when they made the Kyrie trade, they didn't make the playoffs that year. They ended up being a lottery team. Yeah. The Suns, when they made the Durant trade, they made the playoffs, and then they made the Booker trade, which I still think like they didn't give up a whole lot for it. But then the rest of the team was so bare. Like these teams weakened themselves to try to get that third star. Yeah, the Beal trade, sorry. Like they weakened themselves to get that extra player. And that's what would happen, it feels like, to Philly. Like obviously Embiid and Maxey are untouchable. They're not going to trade them in any type of move. But if they sacrifice some of their depth to get Paul George, like we've seen, that doesn't exactly work out there. Like it takes
it really
then you got to somehow
works
rebuild
nowadays.
That. Yeah.
Like nowadays, it's looking like this is like a very an even lower percentage than it was like 5 years ago of making these big trades to get a guy that's been, a perennial all-star. Doesn't always work out for you. I think that Paul George is a great fit for the Philadelphia 76ers, especially with Embiid and Maxey over there. So I would love to see that. But yeah, it's better for Philadelphia if he opts out and signs as a free agent. But if you're Paul George, I understand what he's thinking. He's like, I want to make the most money possible. So I rather opt in and make the most money I can this year. And then I can go to the team that I want to go through a trade. And then I can re-sign with them for the maximum money. So I understand what he's thinking. It's a similar case that we've seen time and time again, whether it be Kawhi or Anthony Davis. These guys on their last year of their deal, they want to go to the place that they really want to go so they can go in and sign a max deal with that team. But it's not going to work out for Philadelphia. So I would vote against that if I was a Philadelphia fan.
I've said this before. I'll say it again. Paul George, 2 years. We'll give you all the money you want. 2 years. Come back to OKC. Get Westbrook as well. Get him coming off the bench. Let's have the big reunion. Let's have the reunion, and let's win this title. I've talked myself.
You would love that.
Here's where I'm at. I've talked myself into a Kevin Durant trade for OKC.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Mr. FKD? Oh, yes. Man.
Yeah. Time heals all wounds, SP3. It's been almost a decade since it all happened. July 4th, 2016. It's been 8 years. What if July 4th, 2024, the Oklahoma City Thunder trade for Kevin Durant, and we bring back Kevin Durant as our starting power forward?
I mean, that might be the best chance Kevin Durant's going to have at another championship, honestly, if we're really thinking about it. And I mean, I want to see what Phoenix is going to do this offseason, because I think they're probably one of the more interesting cases because of what happened at the end of last season and the playoffs for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a big trade for one of their big three and got them up out of there. I honestly feel like the best move for them is to give it another try with the big three, but it's all about building around that, and they don't really have a lot of flexibility for that. So
I think they're going to give it another shot. They got a new coach, and I don't think they're ready to give up on it after 1 year. Problem is their margins are so thin that it's tough to see where they add. They'll get somebody, but it was like last year where they got players like late because it was just guys who no longer wanted to, they couldn't find a home elsewhere. And it's like, oh, this is a good deal for Phoenix. They're getting them cheap. And it's like, oh, this guy was probably available for that kind of money and available because the rest of the teams didn't want him for a reason. It's not so much that like you're able to get him because he's a great player. It's more you got him out of the bargain bin. It's like, oh yeah, that DVD is listed as $1 for a reason. It's because we couldn't sell it for $5. It's because nobody wanted it for $1.50. Like we had to price that thing at $1. That's what it felt like.
Had to price down Bad Santa to $1. But yeah, I could see that. I think that would be such a great kind of callback to, like, I think in the chat they say LeBron returning to Cleveland, have Kevin Durant return to OKC, especially now when you are building towards a championship. That would be like a very great homecoming for longtime OKC fans. But like you said, Phoenix got a new coach, so they're going to give it another try. I just got to see what they're going to do this offseason to build around that. But speaking of new coaches, Happy birthday to the best new coach in the NBA, Mr. J.J. Redick, who came in his first interview as Lakers head coach with no F's given. He was out here. I love this man. After I heard that first interview, I was like, they made the right choice. They made the right choice. Don't go with that guy who wants to stay in college and win a third championship when college basketball basically they're saying is on the downswing. Caitlin Clark's not there anymore, so college basketball nobody's gonna watch. So even the men, because Caitlin Clark's not there. But you stay in the NBA and you got one of the greatest college basketball players of all time, a really good NBA player. He was a player for the Orlando Magic, for the Clippers. He was an even better analyst on ESPN and whatnot. His podcast, RIP, to Mind Your Game, with him and LeBron James is no more because JJ Redick is focused on making the Los Angeles Lakers 18-time world champions. And this man, they asked him, what do you say about the outside noise? What do you say about people talking about you're not experienced and all this? It was like, I really don't know how to answer that because I honestly don't give a fuck. One of the greatest, quote, put it on a t-shirt. Put it on a t-shirt. I'm gonna make like a t-shirt. It's gonna have the like the logo. I don't give a fuck. JJ Redick. Oh my God. I need the t-shirt. Make it right now. JJ Redick is gonna be having the quotes of the year in these press conferences. Don't ask this dude nothing. He is a dookie. He don't got no fucks given. I love
it. JJ Redick's gonna have great quotes until LeBron is asked about what do you think of JJ's decision to, play this lineup. And LeBron is just like, you gotta ask JJ that. You gotta ask JJ what that last play call was. And then Redick is like, we wanted to run 34-5 split hammer right here, and we just missed the shot. What can you do? And LeBron is just like, gotta ask JJ. I don't know why I didn't get that shot. Gotta ask JJ that question.
This is all the Laker haters like Jeremy is gonna try to put a big bucket of cold water on this. But don't worry, Laker fans. I am here to represent, and the preaching will be back. We will be back in Laker Church come next season because JJ Redick is here. The Lord is. I'm about to get a JJ Redick avatar. No more Austin Reeves avatar. It's gonna be JJ Redick in the suit, looking all proper. Looking all spiffy. Oh, man. JJ Redick, my favorite head coach in the NBA. Already, day one, he's already my favorite head coach. He's about to make some moves in this NBA draft. The Lakers is back, baby. We're back in the headlines. And JJ Redick is here.
Back in the headlines. They're never not in the headlines.
He is going to be here for a very, very long time. And by very, very long time, I mean at least 2 seasons. At least 2 seasons. I think that's the average. I'm just going on averages. You know what? I am so confident in JJ Redick. He's going to be here for 3 seasons. At least 3 seasons. At the very least, 3 seasons of JJ Redick, the head coach of Los Angeles Lakers. He's going to send LeBron off into the sunset in 2 years' time, 2026, when LeBron decides to finally retire because he's like, I don't need to prove I'm the greatest oldest player of all time anymore. I can go off into the sunset. He's gonna go off into the sunset with 5 championships, tying Kobe Bean Bryant. Even though I hate the fact that I had to say that because I really don't want him to, because I already have LeBron fans who think that he's better than Kobe, and I think Kobe's still better. But anyway, that's besides the fact. I'm all about the Lakers getting 18 championships. We got to tie Boston again. We got to get 19, JJ, while you here. You got 3 seasons to get 2 championships. We need to get 1 ahead of the Boston Celtics. JJ Redick. So proud of him. That was a great first interview. Mission 1, step 1, great first interview. Step 2, championship in season. And then third step, making the playoffs, not the play in, the playoffs, top 6 seed in the West playoffs. And number 4, Western Conference Finals. And number 5, NBA championship.
Please don't tell me LeBron James had no influence over this decision. Please don't tell me that. Because that's what they tried to tell me, SP3. And I ain't buying it. I ain't buying that, oh, I didn't talk to LeBron about coaching. I didn't talk to LeBron about any of this. No. He talked to LeBron, and that's fine. Good. I'm not even saying this is wrong. I think based on LeBron, based on his stature, based on his needs, based on his ego, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing, you probably should talk to LeBron. You probably should make sure he has clearances over who the coach is and somebody he's comfortable with.
So we're in agreement.
Don't tell me that he had nothing to do with this, because I ain't buying that.
Hey, at least we're in agreement that LeBron should have influence. So I don't even know what the question. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm not trying to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge here, sir. I am just saying that we made a great hire. I don't care who made the suggestion, who suggested to us to make the hire or not. All I am focused on is the fact that JJ Redick gonna be crip walking at the Laker championship parade. It might not be in 2025. It might be in 2026. It might be the way that we send LeBron James off into the distance. But we're gonna have it. Not like us. It's still gonna be a bop by then. So we're gonna be out here saying "Ain't muster on the beat, ho, deep boat, any rap. It's a freak, bro. Hey, come on, let's go. He's gonna see JJ. He's gonna be doing crip walking all with the championship in his hand. Like, hey, come on. Everybody want to see JJ Redick crip walk. Can't wait for the championship parade.
LeBron didn't even get up on stage for that.
LeBron, they told LeBron, keep the family away. So he was like, I'm gonna keep my family by the guardrail here, just in case, any Drake fans are hiding snipers. So he kept a low profile. He kept a low profile at the pop out.
Kind of a cowardly move that he showed up to the show.
Hey, he turned on Drake. He listened to Beat the Grams, and he was like, he kept the family away from Drake. He turned on Drake.
And until Drake comes out with a new album and LeBron's on TikTok oh, this Drake album's so good.
I don't think anybody. No, I don't think even LeBron gonna do that. It's gonna take Drake to have some real heat. He gonna have to come out with an all-time album for anybody to be any celebrity, except if your name is The Game, who made his decision and wasn't even invited to the pop out. So you got to stick with Drake. It don't seem like anybody is sticking around Drake right now. Maybe Steph. I didn't see Steph there.
I didn't see Steph there either.
LeBron. At least LeBron was there. He proved that he listened to Meet the Grams and he was there.
Well, of course LeBron was there. LeBron always wants to, be part of these big events. He always wants to make appearances at the big events. But how much is he really part of these big events?
To be fair to LeBron, he is from Akron, Ohio. He is a representative of the Los Angeles Lakers, 100%. But he's from Akron, Ohio. All the NBA players that were on the stage are natives of California, natives of Los Angeles. So I understand if he was invited on stage, he's like, nah, I'm gonna let it needs to be all West Coast. I'm over here from what y'all call your area? Midwest? I don't know. Akron, Ohio? Yeah.
Hell is what they call Ohio.
Ohio, or whatever they give it. Logan Paul and Miz and
it's
LeBron
OH. It's OHIO. That's the
OHIO. I've only been in Ohio once, and it was to see my friend happy. That's
thank you.
I will never come back.
Fair. You're not gonna come to SummerSlam? You're not coming to SummerSlam?
Nah, man, I gotta stick around here. I'm gonna try to go to All In. Okay, I'm gonna try to go to All In. Maybe I might make a trip to Indianapolis, since Indianapolis getting all the shows. That's closer to you, right? How far is Indianapolis?
Yeah, it's not too far. It's not too far.
No. Yeah. You'll be my only reason to go, sir. Because I'm like, I gotta see my friend, because I don't really want to go to Indianapolis. I don't think a wrestling show could be that good for me to willingly go to Indianapolis unless it was to see one of my friends.
Fair. LeBron, I get why he wasn't on stage, because it was just LA people. I just gotta get my jokes off on LeBron. Love that Russ was up there. That was the most like sure thing in the world. Russ he just wants to vibe. That's all Russ.
He was like, what? He was Russ, up there like
Russ
just having the best time.
I
haven't seen Russ that happy since like OKC was like winning games. Like y'all was like in y'all upper echelon, like with KD and them. Like he hasn't been that happy since then.
Russ is always happy away from all the nonsense that comes with basketball. He's always happy. He's always on the, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, just vibing out to whatever the new song is and everything. Russ brings a positive energy, like away from the court and away from all of that. He was neutered in LA. He was murdered in LA.
We took it small away, the Lakers.
Oh,
Lakers
yeah.
fan.
100%. 100%.
Sorry.
They 100% did.
I'm sorry. I feel like all those Marines in the bar with Shawn Michaels.
I was happy to see Russ happy. I want Russ. Yeah. We trade for Kevin Durant. We sign Russell Westbrook.
Bring the whole fam back together. We get James in there too.
No, we don't want him. No.
That's wrong. You're so wrong.
Why?
Yeah, Serge Ibaka.
James Harden wasn't part of the big three. He wasn't.
What? That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous comment.
I think the OKC big three is romanticized because of what wasn't more than what was. They went to one finals together, and then Harden got traded. They didn't have this long extended run that I think people think they had. They didn't. Like, they were all drafted together. It could have been something. Again, that's why people look at it of like what wasn't instead of what was. And what wasn't, and it became what wasn't because James Harden became a very good player, which good on him. He ran his own team. He turned into an MVP. Good job.
But you chose Serge Ibaka over him.
Let's not. I'm not going to rehash all of this. It wasn't choosing Serge Ibaka.
I chose to pay Serge over James.
That wasn't true at all. That's not what I. What did you hear?
I just said what I heard.
I don't think you want to actually do this with what's actually known about this trade. Because I know you're just like trying to needle and stuff without having what actually went down and the behind the scenes stuff.
Hey, I said at the top of the show, you know more about OKC than me, sir. You know more about OKC than me. You're always trying to tell me about my Lakers. I don't always talk about OKC stuff, but that's what I heard. That's been the perception for a decade.
That's the perception, yes. That's the perception. That's not the truth. One day,
optics and perception can some be deceiving.
One day, the real story about everything's going to come out when it comes to the James Harden trade. And people are going to fully understand why what happened. That's all.
That's fair. But yes, we got The NBA draft coming up tonight. NBA draft, and nobody seems interested in it. I've barely heard anything about the NBA draft.
Oh, there's no like big name in it. It just, the last year we had the hype around Wemby. Wemby was, a huge name coming out of things. The year before, you had kind of, who's gonna go? Banchero, Chet, and Jabari Smith. It was like three. Yeah. It was like a three-headed. It could go either way with these three guys. This year, people are like, well, the number 1 pick in this year's draft would be like the number 8 pick in last year's draft. So it's just a weak class. And I don't think it helps that there's so many. I mean, the top player in college basketball, Zach Giddey, he might not even get drafted. So it doesn't help that there's college basketball isn't exactly hot and churning out people right now. Like no one really paid attention to college basketball this year, and they haven't had a star to carry. I mean, even Wemby, look, it's not like he played in college or anything. So they didn't have a star to really carry things going into the draft. So I get why people are down on the draft. There's going to be, some good players coming out of the draft. There will be some players who end up making the league, who end up possibly being an all-star. But look, I'm just looking this up. Top 2 players are coming from France. Then Reed Shepherd, okay, he's freshman from Kentucky. So
I know Stephen Passel from UConn is going to be in the draft.
All right. Yeah, so. A G League player, freshman. It's a lot of just like freshman guys who played 1 year, and that was that. Like, there's just college basketball isn't super hot right now. And then this draft is just overall not a good draft. So what can you do?
I feel bad for the NBA draft. It's going to be the lowest. Let's see it be the lowest rating. We'll talk about it next week if it's the lowest rated NBA draft. Because I know they're making it 2 nights because they think, 2 nights, more ratings. More people's going to watch because it's going to be across 2 nights. It's like WrestleMania. We could say that we sold the most tickets ever for a WrestleMania. Sold the most tickets ever for an NBA draft because it's 2 nights. We just combine both numbers, and it's the most that we've ever had for an NBA draft. And it's the most ratings we ever had for an NBA draft. But I feel like this is going to backfire.
This is the Anthony Bennett draft.
Yo! I was trying to think of like what draft I would compare it to, but that is a good one. That is spot on. This is the Anthony Bennett draft. You only remember that draft for the bust that was Anthony Bennett.
Look, there turned out again
good players in there.
Yeah, there turned out to be some good players. Victor Oladipo, good player. Otto Porter Jr. had a good career. Nerlens Noel, KCP, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, really good players. CJ McCollum, Steven Adams, Giannis was in this draft. So there might be somebody who pops in this draft. Going into it, that draft just wasn't that special. People are like, Anthony Bennett, is he really a guy who should be the first overall pick? And he was. We saw how that turned out. But again, there's going to be a good player in this draft. There's probably going to be multiple good players in this draft. But there's no hype right now.
The hype is not alive right now. But we'll have a lot to talk about next week when the draft is done. And then I believe next week's episode will be the 2nd. So it'll be 1 day after the free agency starts. So we'll see what type of deals happen on July 1st, and we'll talk about it here. But we have a lot of reality television to get to.
Let's invite our pal, Cher Delaware. See if she did not watch Perfect Match, but she did.
She liked us describing it to her, though.
Yes, maybe at some point she'll watch this show. We'll go ahead and start talking about Perfect Match before Cher Delaware joins. The wife, not a fan of this finale of Perfect Match.
The finale was wrong. Oh my God. They gave you an hour of 45 minutes of imperfect match. What are we doing? What has this show become? I remember my lovely perfect match. It was so good in the first season. Had so many great personalities. You had Francesca, who was like the lightning rod, causing all the drama in the house. You had Joey, who is just so hilarious, and his girl in the drama with that. You had Ron-com Dom, who was all emotional and crying when Francesca left him. And you had that sleazeball from Love is Blind who cheated on his girl with Francesca back in the house with her. Like, there was just so much good stuff going on in that first season. And then they just, man, I don't know what happened. It was like a downhill. It was like it started on a high of like, oh, cool, perfect match is back. And then it just slowly, each episode just went down and down and down to the point of like, I like when we got to the final finale, I was like, man, I don't really like any of these couples. I don't like any of them.
The couple that I thought was going to win was Steven and Alora because they'd been together for a while. They seemed happy enough. Like, it seemed like it was going well with them. The couple that won was Nigel and Christine, who literally got together the night before the finale. Did you hear why they won SP3?
No, I didn't hear why they won. Why did they win?
Apparently, everybody outside of the house who was not part of like long-term house made a deal of we are going to vote for the couple that like just got it. We're going to vote for one of us, essentially, one of the people who just got in. So that is why they won, because they had the numbers from outside. Which
that just made that finale even worse for me. Like I was like, if I'm gonna give it a ranking from like 0 to 10, I was like the whole season I'd probably give a 6, and then the finale I'd probably give like a 4 or a 3 out of 10. You just made it like a 1 or 2 out of 10. That is outrageous. But that makes so much more sense.
Yes, it at least makes sense.
That's the perfect match.
Yeah. It at least makes sense of like why they all voted for them. It's not good. It's like it really like the season was just okay, this is what we're gonna do. I thought the best story was Harry and Jess, and then
1000%. And especially the best part of the finale, that's why the finale was gonna get a 4 or 5, was when they finally showed us the behind the scenes footage of Harry really did kiss her.
I owe an apology to Melinda. Yes, I thought she was lying. They showed the footage, and yes, Harry's not going to change. Harry's going to be Harry. No. Yeah.
Nope. And that's why I think they did that ending, the real ending of it. It would be the real ending of it wasn't, oh, Nigel and Christine have won. Look at the trip they went on. No, they purposely wanted to drag Harry some more. So they show a phone like selfie video of him and Jessica back together 1 month later, and they're trying to make it work out. And he said he's asked to be his girlfriend 98 times. And then they hit him like, we'll see if it works out. And then they hit him with the 1 week later, they broke up.
So I don't know if
that was foul.
I cackled when that happened. I was like, all right, you know what? This is actually worth it. Did you hear the wife like checked in all the behind the scenes stuff with this? Jess,
I only read like a People magazine article that was like, are these couples back together? And literally I just skipped. I didn't even read the whole article. I just skipped to the end of each section. It was like, they broke up. 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 And I was like, they need to end the show. You can't have the show anymore.
Nah, you got to keep it going just because, it's terrible reality television. You got to keep it going. But apparently Jess had a boyfriend the entire time. Yes. So she went on the show and her boyfriend was like cool with it and fine with it. And she had a boyfriend the entire time. She's basically Trevor. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, that was the big behind the scenes tea on that. Is Jess had a boyfriend, and that's that.
Wow.
These are the rumors, by the way.
Wow.
You know, these are what the internet says. Internet may or may not be truthful, but these are the rumors.
Yeah, just when I wanted to say that Jessica was in the right, and we were complimenting her last week and how she was handling herself.
I've decided that when it comes to reality television, I'm not giving anybody benefit of the doubt anymore. All these people are terrible. All these people are terrible.
You have to be terrible to even sign up for reality television.
Yeah. Well, we tried to.
Oh man, I mean, so you thought Stefan and Alora. Who would you, if you had the chance to vote, who would you have voted for? I would have voted for Tolu and Chris.
Yeah, I never liked Chris. I
never liked Chris, but I liked Tolu that much that I think that she would have been my vote.
That's fair. I probably would have voted for Stefan and Alora. I didn't really care for them too much, but like they seemed pretty happy. They seemed pretty genuine. They had a lot of fun. They had the one little fight because Stefan went to go get the bottle for spin the bottle, and then they squashed that
stupid
quickly. Yeah. But yeah, I probably would have voted for them. But I didn't like Chris enough. Chris, I never came around on him. Cher Delaware is here. Hello, Cher Delaware.
Hey, Cher.
How are you?
I'm so glad that hockey is finally over.
Yeah.
Those last few games were very stressful.
I had never rooting interest. I just enjoyed the games. They were good games for someone who didn't care who won.
I only slightly gave Florida the edge because got to cheer for St. Louis. So that was the only reason. I was just ready for it to be over. The gaps between those games.
Oh, way too long.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It was a 2-day break between every game. It's like, what are we doing?
Every game, and it went the full 7. Like, what? I mean, they're going to freaking Vegas this weekend for the draft. Like,
the draft's on Friday.
Like, what is happening? Yeah, I'm very glad that it's over. Last night was a very busy night. We had baseball. We were watching baseball. We had hockey. I was ready for everything to be over.
We were talking about Perfect Match. I know you didn't watch Perfect Match, but we were finishing the finale on that. SP3, any final thoughts on Perfect Match?
I need Harry back on reality television because
I need Harry and Francesca both back. Like, we need them for the next season.
That's already over?
Yeah, it's already over.
Yeah, they released, like, it was just 3 weeks. They released everything in bulk, and it was only the 3-week stint.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then the finale was like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like we said before, apologies to Melinda. Melinda was telling the truth. Harry did kiss her, and he did tell her that he wanted to get her pregnant. And then he tried to go to production and was like, "Did you guys see me and Melinda kissing?"
I always love when they do, like, there's no cameras around. There's you're mic'd up, you dummy.
You dumbass. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then he tells Chris, I did something bad.
Well, and like these people have been on reality TV before. That's the part that always kills me. Like, it's not like this is a new thing for you and you don't understand how this works.
You're mic'd up. You know there's cameras everywhere. And if you go to other people and are like, oh, I did something. At some point, something's getting caught. You idiots.
Yeah. Apologies to her. And Jessica's not any better than Trevor having a boyfriend going into this series.
What?
Yeah.
It's allegedly Jessica.
Allegedly. And none of the couples are together, including the couple that got together in the end. And apparently that was all a part of a deal. So this was the waste of a whole season. It was trash reality, so I enjoy it for that much, but I'm disappointed. I'm completely disappointed by Imperfect Match.
Terrible.
Speaking of disappointing finales.
Oh God.
Oh dear God.
Challenge All Stars 4 finale. So the stars ended up mattering in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
The worst way possible. So we left last week where it was going to be Derek or Laurel getting eliminated. Derek ended up getting eliminated. And then we learn, oh, you give your star to somebody and then you get an advantage. That person who you give the star to gets an advantage. We go through the whole thing. Veronica gets eliminated. Nicole gets eliminated. Leroy gets eliminated. And all these people just give their stars to Laurel. And Cara put it best of just saying, so she won because she was friends with a bunch of losers.
Yeah.
Great
And
stuff. So Leroy gave his star to Steve. So
he did. Yes.
I'll give him that. Even though I got some words for Leroy.
The screen grab of Veronica and Nicole walking off after they gave, like, they're so proud of themselves. And I'm like, oh.
This mattered in the finale because it was a relay race, as it always typically is, with different stops, to different stations to do different challenges that you have to complete before you can move on. But if you have a star, you can use a star to skip the station.
Yeah.
So Laurel has 4 stars, and then nobody else has more than 2. I think Ace or Steve and Cara had 2.
Steve had 2. No, Cara had 1.
Oh, I thought only Ace had 1.
No, Cara and Ace had 1. Steve
Okay.
had 2, and Laurel had 4. It's just like, dude, we watch All Stars because we are sick of the friendship alliances on the main one, and you literally made the final about friendships.
Yeah.
The moment they explained everything, and then it was, oh, Laurel has 4, nobody else has more, Steve has 2, Cara and Ace have 1. I was like, well, it's over. She can skip basically every single thing. All she has to do is run a race. She's not going to lose any time on a challenge. She's going to have to do 2 less than the next person. I don't care what these challenges are. Like, it's going to take them a while to do that. And it's not like Laurel is like some out of shape person who can't run a relay race either. It's like, it's over. So
I don't think that you can convince me that they didn't do this intentionally so that Laurel would win. Because they knew nobody was going to give them to Cara. Like, they knew what they were doing, setting that up. And it was just like, well, that ruins the entire thing. I mean, it made it so uninteresting and boring. And I did see on TikTok, I think it was, that Ace was talking about how they absolutely bullied Cara through the entire season. And somebody was like, well, do you think she deserved it? And he was like, nobody deserves that. And especially not, like, she wasn't doing anything. and they bullied her the entire season. But then if you talk to any of them, they're like, she's just unlikable. It's fine to not like people. Cara even said on socials the other day, like, it's okay to not like people. I don't like Laurel. It's okay to not like her. But you can not like somebody and just, like, ignore them. You don't have to make your entire personality that you don't like them, which was what they all did. And it's like, oh, cool. You're all, like, 40 years old and acting like 15. It was just... That was one of the most disappointing finales I've ever seen.
Laurel acting like she accomplished something. She's like, I played such a good game. I made so many friendships, and that is why I won. It's like, what?
Embarrassing.
What are we talking about here? Like, you and Nicole have your on again, off again nonsense that never goes anywhere, and you both look stupid. out of this. Veronica, I guess, I don't know. Derek, that was a weird one. Like, what are we talking about? No, Cara again put it best. She's like, well, I guess she was just friends with a bunch of losers, because if Steve or Ace had lost, Cara probably would have won this finale because they would have given their stars to her. Instead, they were actually good competitors, and they made the final four, and so it ended up screwing all of them. Because if Steve, Ace, or Cara get eliminated, they probably give their stars to one of the other ones, and then Laurel doesn't win. It was so dumb how they
honestly
set this up.
With the star advantage. If Steve would have not had the bonehead move or have like a mind lapse during the whole thing, or not listen to TJ correctly, he would have won. He would have won, even with Laurel having 2 more stars than him. He could have still won, but he thought that he could use both of his stars in the same lap. But they told him you have to use 1 star per loop, per lap that you did around the thing for whatever puzzle. And if he would have used his star on that final one instead of the one where he said on the confessional, he was like, I'm going to use this for this one. I could do this one in a couple of seconds, but I'm going to use it here and then use my other star on the final one. When he couldn't do that. Like, he should have just done that one and then put the star on the final one, where you got to be you need assistance being bungeed up before you can even do that puzzle. And that screwed him. He was automatically out of it because Laurel and Cara were listening, and they used their final stars on that one that Steve had to stay and do.
It was so dumb all throughout the season. We talked about it. Oh, the stars matter. The stars matter. The stars matter. Laurel gets her star on the final challenge because she did not go into the eliminations beforehand and just won the battle royale, essentially, event to get her
She
star.
literally did nothing the entire time. Like,
and then the stars matter, but then you can just give them away to create an advantage for somebody. That is not these stars actually mattering.
It feels like a participation trophy.
Yeah,
is what it feels like.
And then Laura was all complimentary of Cara when she passed the finish line. Like, you've always been like a little sister to me, and we can be partners on Rivals, and we'll both be varsity. You won't be JV anymore. Oh, get out of here! Please stop this nonsense. Like, you're so fake. You're so fake at this point. Come on, Laurel.
And then she was on social media trying to, I think it was Twitter, trying to say that she beat Cara by like 20 minutes. And Cara was like, well, production told me it was 10 minutes when I got there, because I asked how long it was, and they told me it was 10. And she was saying like what she had left to do when Laurel left. And she was like, the most it could possibly be was 15. And Laurel was acting like she blew her out of the water with it. And I'm like, even if you did, what does that prove? You didn't do anything. Like, I mean, that would be like me just getting a ride to the end in the golf cart and then being like, look how far I went. Look how farther I was than you. Like, nobody cares. The only people that
she's like, I had a whole conversation with TJ. It's not that long. Like, oh god.
The only people
you're
that
such
are like,
a liar.
Yeah, the only people that are like, oh, Laurel was amazing and she won, are Laurel's fans. Everybody, even the people who don't dislike her, who are just like whatever, are like, that sucked. That was terrible. And I would say the same thing if Cara was the one who got the ride to the end with it. Like, and I love Cara, but I would be like, that was terrible. That was set up terrible. It made it where like the whole game just didn't even matter.
Basically.
It was just stupid.
It was
that was top bottom 5 as far as finals go. Bottom 5 for me because of that twist.
Yeah, it wasn't a good finale because of that. Like, I like the concept overall of this season, and then they just the final 2 episodes just throwing in really nonsensical twist that kind of negated so much of the season. Laurel won. I'll pull up our draft. I think you had Laurel, right? SP3.
No, I did not have Laurel.
I think I had Laurel.
I think Cher had Laurel.
All right. Yes. Yeah, Cher had Laurel. That was, you picked her second overall, which fair. I mean, not a bad pick. She sucks as a person, but not a bad pick.
Correct.
Hey, it was a smart pick. If you can't pick Cara, then pick Laurel, and that's what it came down to.
I would have been much more happy with this win if she would have deserved it. It's
fair.
Just, I mean, like I said, if it was anybody that I was a fan of, I would still feel the same way. They ruined the whole challenge because it was like, why did I spend all this time watching these episodes for this to be what it was in the end? I mean, it was just disappointing.
Well, congratulations, Cher. You earned this victory more than Laurel did.
Yeah.
We did have
the draft someone you didn't like and you won. So, congrats.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna allow this person. I'm gonna send him an invite. He's been through a lot over the past few weeks, few days certainly. See if he comes on here. But we did have the announcement of the Battle of the Eras. We talked about that a little bit in our group chat. Finally, some people we know on this show.
Finally, yeah, they went from, hey, we're going to put a whole bunch of people you don't know last season for 39, and then 40, we're bringing all the people you do know, and only one of these eras seem like they like each other from just the promo picture. It only looks like era 1 actually likes each other. It doesn't look like any other era likes each other. And era 1 could be described as the only group that likes each other, or Champions and Anissa.
Yeah. Did you see the picture that they put out on the promo of like all of them climbing the thing that they made with AI?
Oh, that's
so bad.
Oh.
So bad.
Hey, Kara's on top though.
Kara's on top.
CT is back for this. The teams look good. Like I'm very excited for this season. I told you, SP3, I said in our group chat, like, well, the OGs are probably they're just happy to be there. They're getting paid. They're like, oh, all these other groups are gonna have a bunch of bullshit and drama and whatnot. We're old and just here, excited. Let's go. Give us our money.
Hey, we got Rachel back on a main season of the challenge. Tina's back on a main season of the challenge. We got CT, Darrell, Derek. I'm trying to think if I remember all the Era 1 people. Anissa. I was trying to not remember her, but yeah. Anissa's also there.
Was Katie there?
Yeah, Katie is there back on the main season of the challenge, which is crazy to me. I don't know why she would do that, but she's here. So yeah, I'm very interested in Era 1. Era 2 is probably going to have the most drama because you have Era 2. It has Bananas, Laurel, and Cara on the same team.
Yeah.
That's a choice. Also, you got
Nehemiah
back on the main. Yeah, it's good. You got Nehemiah back on the main season. I feel like, the only person, and he mentioned it on social media because he was getting a lot of people tagging him. The only person missing from this season really is Wes.
Yeah.
Like then it would be it would probably be the perfect cast to have for a season 40 if you had Wes on there. But Wes did his retirement, which I think he's only a couple of months away from exceeding Leroy's retirement because Leroy's back on the main season of the challenge. And before we finish off with All-Star 4, we had Adam, who, went from episode 1, oh, it's nice to have Adam back, to episode 10, oh, he's a whole bitch. And then we have, in the same season, someone who has perennially been one of my favorites, despite his record, despite, being on 14 seasons and never winning a damn thing. I've always been a fan of Leroy.
I knew this was coming.
He's funny. He's funny. He always seemed genuine. But boy, oh boy, is he a whole bitch too. This dude here on the Bananas podcast, bad-mouthing Cara. Oh, I just didn't want to be around her. She was just so miserable. Cara is just so miserable. She needs to be more accountable for who she is and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. She always talking about the challenge. She always wants to win. And it's just like, dude, you sound like such a loser. Such a big loser energy. And then to
like
find out,
maybe if you focused more on the challenge and wanted to win, you would actually win one. Like,
and then you find out from the Cara point of view on the Zach Nichols podcast. Shout out to those guys because they've been doing a great job throughout the All-Star series with the different people they've had on and their coverage of the season. But they had an interview with Cara where Cara talked about how like it was just so weird with the whole deterioration of her friendship with Cam, where she's always been friends with Cam off camera. You know, they couldn't make it to their baby shower for Kingston, so they actually went early to meet up with them in Texas and took them out. Cara took her to whatever bougie hair salon, nail salon that Cam wanted to go to. And Leroy basically told them, we can't post pictures because Banana's going to get mad at me. Dude, grow a set of balls. Like, grow a set of balls, B. Like, you find out that stuff, and then you find out the fact that from listening to his interview with Bananas and then finding out the backstory, the dude only went on the show because his barbershop ain't making him enough money and he needed a paycheck. You're a loser in real life, too? Like, I don't understand being a challenge loser. Not everybody can win a season of the challenge. It's understandable. You and Nani, it just seemed like that Vegas house just breed losers because you have been on freaking double-digit seasons of the challenge and you haven't won a damn thing. You've been in an alliance with Bananas since your first season of the goddamn challenge and you couldn't even make it to all these damn finals. You got Nani, who's been a partner with Bananas twice and lost in both of those damn things, including one where she didn't even make it to the finals because she lost to her enemy, Teresa, at the time. And then you got your loser ass who is up here with 2 kids in your barbershop. And you always talk about, oh, I'm Leroy the barber. I'm doing all these great things. I got my own barbershop. And you're not making enough money to support your family.
2 kids.
And then you say, oh, Cara makes her whole life about the challenge. You've been on 14 seasons.
My God.
Well, and like, how is your whole life not about the challenge when when you've been on this many seasons? You're literally, it's your job at this point. Like, you're having to come on here to make money. You came out of your fake retirement because you weren't making enough money. Like, they're moving from Texas back to where his family is. I assume because they need the help because of, and I mean, it's expensive. It's expensive to have kids. Like, I get it, but I mean, don't shit talk other people who are literally doing the same thing as you. They're just doing it better. So that was very strange to me, but not strange at all that Bananas was the one that he was saying that shit to, because as much as I have always been a fan of Leroy, he was always a follower for Bananas. He was gonna do whatever Bananas said. Well, he thought Bananas was gonna help him win, is what it was, and it just never worked for him. But like, he knows that Bananas and Cara don't get along. So he's like, ooh, this is the perfect person. He's gonna be like, yeah, she sucks. If I talk about, like, he was just feeding what Bananas wanted him to say. And it was just embarrassing. Like, you are a grown man on here acting like this, talking shit about somebody who, like I said, does the same thing as you, just better. So
and hasn't said any type of negativity towards you or Cam.
Yeah.
Even after she's done multiple interviews after this season, and she really hasn't said anything wrong about you. She was even bringing up the whole baby shower thing. That's the only reason she brought it up, is because Cam, it was so weird how Cam was saying that the vote basically ended their friendship. a vote that had her vote had no influence on what Cam wanted, and still she let that be the deciding factor for the person that everybody in 2019 at the War of the Worlds 2 was like, oh, Cara brings the challenge into real life, and she can't separate the game from the challenge, and now Cam is doing that.
I would just like for Leroy to understand that if Bananas ever got to choose a partner between him and Cara, Bananas is throwing Leroy to the freaking birds. Like, he is choosing Cara over him 10 out of 10 times. So 100%. Like, we all know how Bananas is. Bananas is two-faced. Like, he's gonna do whatever benefits Bananas. So, I mean, he's your friend, but he's only your friend to an extent.
Yeah, like, Bananas wants to win, and Cara has shown the ability to win. Leroy, no offense, unless you're SP3, who's
full of faith.
Yeah. Leroy, sometimes he's just been screwed over by the game. Sometimes he's just made bad decisions. He hasn't won. He hasn't won for a reason. And when you've been on that many challenges, even though we've liked Leroy up until now, clearly, SP3, he hasn't won for reasons. And look, he's no better in some ways than Anissa, who has been on 20 seasons and has not won. Like, at some point, you don't win for a reason. And he has not won. And I don't know if he will.
I think that pre-baby, Bananas might have chosen Cam over Cara as a partner. I don't think he would even choose Cam over Cara now, because she's proven there's things that she won't do because she has kids. And I think just her politicking in this last one does not work with the way that Bananas politics. Like, he needs someone who is going to listen to him more, or someone like Cara who just kind of does their own thing. He can't have two alphas in a partnership. He would not be able to deal with Cam being his partner. Now, we all know Leroy's a follower, but that's why him and Cam work great together, because Cam tells him to jump and he says how high. But like, he would, out of the three of those, he would choose Cara. I think he would choose Cara over Laurel, because him and Laurel would butt heads, and Laurel would freaking sabotage their team just to piss him off. We've seen her do it. Like, Cara wants to win. He wants to win. It is what it is. But I think that the Eras is going to be really good. I hope they don't do a bunch of bullshit twists in it like they did in this game. Like, I think it really has that. But I assume they're not going to have a whole team win. It's not going to be like, I mean, people will get eliminated from the teams, but like, are they going to break down the teams when they get to a certain point and then it's individuals?
I hope
probably
not.
That's what I
hope not. I hope it stays as eras and you win or lose with your era. Yeah.
You know who else hopes that? Anissa hopes that.
she's like, I've been wanting to be on CT's team for the last 40 seasons.
That's to me, like, the fun part of kind of team challenges, especially when the teams are known beforehand like this, and you have so many relationships. Like, look, people know Anissa's not good, so you're gonna see her team be like, yeah, let's try to get her into elimination so we can get her out. And you're going to see the other teams be like, let's keep her around because she is going to anchor them. Like,
first challenge the Era 1 loses, they're going to be like, all right, who we throwing in? Anissa? All right.
Anissa, everybody, Anissa, get her out of here. Shout out to our boy Mark Long, who's on the season and Era 1s as well. Back on the main season for the first time since season 22. So.
We have Mark, we have Cara, we have Paulie on this season as well.
Yeah.
Paulie's pose in that team photo. That was the first thing my eyes went to, and I could not stop laughing. I'm like, it's so Paulie. Like, what
Paulie's like, the only person I know on this team is Josh. That's unfortunate.
I gotta see. I don't know if the chat will be able to see it or not. But look at like, what are you doing? It's like a knockoff iconic pose. Iconic.
That's awesome.
All right. He's been waiting backstage. I said I'd give him some time because he's gone through hell the past week because his team had a 3-0 lead and they couldn't win until last night. Hello, Caden.
The Florida Panthers are stand.
Are you a Panthers fan? Or are you a Stars fan? Or are you like, you have so many teams that you root for. I can't actually like keep them straight.
I explained this to Cher Delaware a few weeks ago. She was very confused by this. There are 3 hockey teams that I will support because of there's 3 teams that I have like very like significant relationships with. Montreal.
He lives 3 different places. That's part of it.
I've lived in 3 different places. Montreal is the only one I haven't lived in, but my dad is a Canadiens fan, so I grew up as a Canadiens fan. Florida, when I started learning hockey, was in South Florida, so I learned to play hockey at their practice facility, and I have a lot of close connections with the team. And one of my friends, his dad is the equipment manager of the Panthers, so his name's gonna be on the cup. And then the Stars is because I grew up in Texas also.
I don't think this is right. I don't feel like you can have.
This is my number one over every other team is the Panthers. Like if it comes down to like I cheer for the others. This is my like team.
I was gonna say before the finals even started, like Panthers was who he was pulling for as we would talk about hockey. He was very much on the verge of a mental breakdown over this.
Oh yeah, he messaged me. I ignored you because like you know how I get. Like I'll block you on. I'll be completely honest with you, Caden. I muted you after the Stars Avs series because you were like happy for the Stars, and I was like, "Go fuck yourself." So you've been muted for at least until the end of the series. But like you've messaged me, and you're like, this message, by the way, this one. Hold on, I'm gonna out you here on air.
Oh, I don't know which one it is. That's a lot of messages.
I'm scared of the man I'll become if the Panthers lose.
I think I sent that to Cher too.
He sends me a message and he's like, should I go to Florida? Should I drive back to Florida 3 days early so that I can be there? And I said, no, because I don't think you can mentally handle it if they lose this. And he's going to be just in a parking lot for weeks crying over this.
I sympathize with you, Caden. Not that you have 3 teams. I think that's stupid. But I do sympathize with you watching your team be up 3-0 and feeling good, and then you go all the way to.
We thought they were going to sweep them.
I didn't think it was going to be a sweep, but I understand the sentiment.
I had it in 5.
I understand the sentiment of, you're up 3-0, 9 out of 10 times. I mean, more than that, 99 out of 100 times you win that series. So I get it. And then to watch it, I was talking to the wife yesterday before the game. I was like, oh, I'm really excited about the game. Like Game 7, Oilers coming back from 0-3, Panthers, could blow it. And she's like, if the Avs were ever up 3-0 and then this started to happen, you would be sleeping outside because I would not be able to deal with you. I was like, oh yeah, I 100% agree with you. When we were up 3-1 and we lost Game 5, I was like, this is the end of the world. So yeah. I get it. So I'm happy that your team survived, won, and ended up pulling it out because I can't fully relate, but I understand the mental anguish you were going through over this past week.
Yeah, in 19, the Blues went to 7 games, and that was one of the worst experiences of my life. You need to have the buffer. When you don't have at least a 1-game buffer, you're like, oh well, everything is horrible and I'm never going to recover.
It was genuinely because they had the 2 games built in between anytime they had to travel.
Yeah.
2 games or 2 days in between for the schedule, which was the stupidest shit ever.
Yeah.
But
we talked about this earlier.
No, that's why I didn't message you though when we were talking all this stuff, because like I didn't want to say the wrong thing that was gonna make it worse. I don't feel like in those situations
I was making it worse.
I'll say I don't think in those
last
situations. That's
okay. Thank you.
I don't think in those situations you can say anything to make it better. Like if I message you and just be like, "Oh, you're gonna be a fine man, Caden." Like that's cool.
Did you see my other text I sent you? What I said would happen if the Panthers won?
Oh yeah.
Brady?
Yeah, I did. You were trying to again. I just ignored you because I wasn't trying to.
I was trying to will as much into the world.
I get it. So I guess we get to put you through a table at WrestleCade.
Yes.
So that's.
I told Jeremy if the Panthers won. I think I sent this after Game 5. I said if the Panthers win, you can put me through a table at WrestleCade.
Yeah. So we at least get to do that.
Why don't I get to put you through a table at WrestleCade?
You're not going to WrestleCade.
I will go to WrestleCade just to put you through a table.
Okay, good. I'll take it. I want you to go so now you can go to WrestleCade.
I feel like that's a good plan, if I'm being honest.
You're wearing a jersey, by the way. That's a Yager jersey, isn't it?
Jaromir Yager.
He had a longer playing career than you've been alive.
I have a 1992 Pittsburgh Penguins Yager jersey.
You weren't even born.
I wasn't even born.
I have the jersey.
Are you a Penguins fan as well? Is that like your fourth team that
I hate the Penguins?
You also
I am trying to go to a Penguins game this year with our friend Cher Bailey.
So what's hilarious, I don't know if that's the right word, but Columbus is like a 3-hour drive and Pittsburgh's like a 2-hour drive. It's actually closer for me to go to Pittsburgh for the Avs game, because that's the only reason I would go. It is Avs Pens than Columbus and Avs, which I might have to do this year. I think the last couple of years it's been scheduled on a day that I haven't been able to like make it work, or I've had something else come up. But yeah, Avs Pens I should probably make it a point to go to, or at least get to an Avs game this year.
Yeah, I want to go to a game in Columbus for the Cannon. That sounds fun.
No, it sucks. That sucks. Columbus was nice. It's a nice arena and everything. The last time I went to an Avs game was again Columbus against the Avs, and that was the year we won the cup. So, and I haven't been to an Avs game since. So maybe I should, go to a game to bring us.
SP3, I need you to pick a hockey team, just any team except for the Rangers.
We tried to get SP3 as a Pens fan a couple years ago. It was when the Pens were facing the Rangers, and Romeo was cheering for the Rangers, and so we were like, "Oh, you should cheer for the Pens because
you should be a Penguins fan because they have Sidney Crosby."
But
that's my favorite player.
They're really
bad
right now,
as it should be. Sid, there you go. He's a Penguins fan.
And my family used to call me Sid the Kid as well when I was.
There you go. So. It's been established. We now have.
No, I'm not a Penguins fan. I'm a Sidney Crosby fan.
No,
it's like how I used to do with Peyton Manning. I was a Peyton Manning fan. I wasn't a Denver Bronco fan.
I'm a Sidney Crosby fan too. I think that's been well established. So
the amount of texts I get about Sidney Crosby,
oh boy,
is absurd.
Listen,
we're gonna have to. Well, when the schedule comes out, Pens and Avs, we'll make a go of it. Myself, my lovely wife, Cher Delaware, Jarrett Bailey, SP3. If you were back in America by that point, I don't know how long it would drive Pittsburgh is for you, but
I technically can't be here that long, so probably we'll be back by the time the new season starts.
We'll go to a Pens and Avs game, and we'll have a grand old time.
We'll just cheer for Sid. That's all.
No,
that
I'm
care
not.
About.
I'm
no, I meant me and SP3. All we'll care about is Sid.
I'm not doing that at all.
As I was talking to Jarrett the other day, I said all of my most of my Sidney Crosby posts are jokes because there are so many young hockey fans who are delulu who make up whole relationships with hockey players and try to pretend like they're dating hockey players and like message girls and they're like, don't post my boyfriend on your social media and everything. So I tried to start a rumor that Sidney Crosby was the father of my children, but it didn't work. He's too much of an angel. He would never abandon his children. So
My wife just messaged me and says we have to cheer for the Penguins because of one of the 12 kids, big fan of Penguins in general. And so she's like, we have to cheer for the Penguin, the concept of the Penguins for one of the kids. And I'm like, no, not against the Avs.
Is he gonna watch the Penguin TV show when it drops?
I don't know about all of that.
SP3, I have to tell you, I also got a message from Mrs. Jeremy that says this was about your rant about Leroy. That said, all of these words SP3 is saying make sense individually, but together they are completely unhinged.
Yeah, she doesn't watch the challenge. She's watched bits and pieces of it, so she doesn't know really who Leroy is. But she probably just enjoyed it just for your hater. All of this, you know.
Yeah,
I love Leroy, but I'm sorry. Some of these
really
people have just,
that doesn't seem like that's truthful after what just happened.
Some of these people just have pissed me off with their post-show interviews. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a huge Mark Ficara ever since she's been on the channel. I don't know. Maybe it's that. Fair. Yeah, it's probably that.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe if these people would come on and let us interview them, we would cheer for them too. Yeah. But
exactly. Exactly. Come on.
Your portion of your rant where you talked about him being a failed barber and having to come back to the challenge for money made me realize I didn't think his barber shop was going well, because I feel like that's a tough gig anyway, unless you are super popular and everything. And I feel like COVID definitely hurt everybody. Nobody was getting haircuts. I still haven't gotten a haircut off of COVID, so I don't feel like anybody was getting a haircut then. And then I was like, yeah, is he just not doing well as a barber? And clearly he's not, and doesn't just seem like that's a great 9-to-5 gig to have, and he's got to come back for the challenge.
Well, and if you remember, he posted stuff constantly about being a barber beforehand, and then now it's like nothing ever.
Yeah. Oh, let's go! The Avs just signed Casey Middleston to a 3-year deal.
Oh, how much?
Who cares? Not my money.
I need that Reinhardt deal to go through.
Oh, he'll resign. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he's gonna take a discount to stay there. I mean, when you're living in downtown Fort Lauderdale, why would you leave?
It's the tax too. You don't have to pay taxes.
We don't have a state income tax.
Yeah, that's the real advantage in hockey is no state income tax.
Oh yeah.
Florida's been in the finals for the past 5 years because of that.
Well,
Dallas, Vegas.
The insane thing too is that didn't work for 25 years of this franchise, or 20 years of the franchise. After we lost in the finals in '96 to y'all, to the Avs when we got swept. Since then, the team was just snake bitten, couldn't get anything going. There was no trust with the franchise, and then they were just running through all these shitty general managers. It was insane. They just couldn't establish anything with the players. And they couldn't get anybody to sign in South Florida for 2 decades until Bill Zito came in around COVID, and then picked up Gustav Forsling off of waivers. He made the trades for Sam Reinhart and Sam Bennett. He went and got Matthew Tkachuk and made a big move by trading the all-time scoring leader for the Florida Panthers, who set the best scoring season ever for a Panther, in Jonathan Huberdeau. He traded him. After that season, he made the gamble, traded him and their star defenseman, Mackenzie Weegar, for Matthew Tkachuk, and put together this insane team, signed those people in the offseason like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, got Sergei Bobrovsky for that contract that seemed like it was going to be one of the worst contracts ever signed in goalie history, and then he ended up turning it on in the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs, where he didn't even start the series as the starter in net in that first round. The way the Panthers, I started watching the Panthers. It was the 2016 season when I moved to South Florida, and that was a good team. They lost in Game 7 to the Islanders, to the John Tavares overtime goal. And then 2017, that team completely collapsed. 2018, another awful season. They got rid of Riley Smith and Jonathan Marchessault in the expansion draft of the Vegas Golden Knights. The whole Tom Rowe incident, where he fired Gerard Gallant as coach and then went behind the net. For some reason, the general manager was the coach. It was the worst year, one of the worst years I've ever seen a hockey team play. And to see the team completely turn it around and get into this spot with it, like they only have three players that they drafted: Aaron Ekblad, Alexander Barkov, and I think it's either Eetu Luostarinen or Anton Lundell. One of those two was drafted by the Panthers. Those are the only three players that they've drafted. It's incredible what they've done. It's awesome that the Stanley Cup now belongs in South Florida for the first time in the 30 years of the franchise. The Florida Panthers are your Stanley Cup champions.
Good job, Caden. You didn't do anything. But
Jeremy, I would like to tell you that your wife doesn't know who Bananas is.
That sounds about right.
She just said to me, "Who is this Bananas person?" Yeah. That seems like who he is mad at.
I told her you got into a beef with Laurel. I was like, yeah, you tried to fight Laurel on Twitter and she ducked you.
She didn't even respond. Yeah.
I'm good at getting people to respond, and my next goal is to get Bananas to respond to me, because I've been commenting on a bunch of his posts ever since he dropped that interview with Leroy. I was like, it just sound like two bitches bitching and moaning about a grown ass woman who's stronger than them. I'm trying to bait him in. I already got Eric Bischoff this year, so I'm trying to add Bananas to the list.
What is it happening on your Twitter?
Oh, SP3. I liked your Bischoff one, by the way. That was good. That was hilarious.
I missed that.
Oh yeah, that was a few weeks ago.
It was so easy. It only took was like 3 comments. I was like,
yeah, Bischoff. Yeah, he's just, he's online. Bless him. He's online. Congratulations, Caden. I'm glad your mental health survived everything. Next year, narrow it down to one team. Maybe I'll remember to unmute you and I'll deal with your takes. Look, I was muting everybody.
No, you don't need to deal with my takes. It's okay. They're not.
No. Like unless you're annoying me with like hockey because you're messaging me about my team. Like I generally like you, but yeah, leave a thumbs up on this video, everybody.
To be fair, I did not text you a single time during that.
You didn't. No.
I tweeted about it, but I didn't text you.
Yeah, no, you didn't even, and this is how my brain works. Is like, you didn't tag me in this or anything. It just popped up on my timeline, and I'm just like, go fuck yourself. That's it. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. This is a me problem. I recognize that.
See, so. I need to quickly talk about how much of a hater I am.
Oh my
gosh. So the Stars. You're
basically the hater pod. So
I'm a big hater. Cher knows
we're here to listen about hating.
So I'm a fan. I cheer for the Stars, but at a certain point I stopped cheering for them, and it's because of one reason. There's a person who I was friends with in high school who I'm not friends with anymore, who like completely cut me off for like bullshit reasons, and I think is one of the like most annoying people I know. And she is a big Stars fan. Her sister works for the organization, and so at a certain point I say I hope they lose because I don't like that person and I don't want them to see happiness.
It would have been nice if they lost in like the second round, but
I feel like I could relate to that if I wasn't so freaking old, because I can't relate to caring about people from high school. That's the problem.
Yeah. I tend to if people cut me off, I tend to just not give a fuck about them. That's my.
You'll get to that point. You're just still young enough that you haven't got to that point yet.
Yeah, I'm still 21 and a hater.
Caden,
they just become punchlines and jokes for me. That's what they usually become. Yeah.
Caden, the Middlestat deal is for $5.75 million.
Sounds right.
He was good. We got our second line center. He was really good last season for us. He'll get better.
He's good. He came from Buffalo.
Yeah. It was Byram for Middlestat straight up. Yeah. Now we look forward to seeing if we can get Valerie Nichushkin dealing with what he's dealing with. And that's a decision unto itself. All right. Pick one hockey team. Stick with one hockey team. I think we can all agree, fuck Corey Perry. Glad he lost.
as I posted last night, I have never met more, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Superstitious people
Okay.
than hockey players.
Oh,
Hockey players
yeah. and
hockey
fans.
players are so superstitious. Why the fuck would you bring in Corey Perry into your organization? Like, you should have known. You should have known you weren't gonna win when you brought him in. I mean,
He gets you. Well, here's the thing with Corey Perry.
he gets you there,
gets
and
you
then
to
he
the
laughs
finals.
at you while you lose.
Wait, we need to tell SP3 this stat. So Corey Perry, in the last 5 seasons, he's been on 5 different teams. 4 of those different teams he's gone to the finals with. He has not won a single time.
All lost.
Yeah,
He lost on all 4 different teams. The Dallas Stars, Montreal Canadiens, Tampa Bay Lightning, who were going for they had won the 2 years prior and they lost as soon as he got there. And then this year with the Edmonton Oilers, he missed last year.
Now, you're not even a hockey player. Would you not be like, don't fucking get this guy on my team at this point?
I would say sign him, then get to the finals, and then
Then
never
boot him
play
out.
him.
And then let him go. Yeah, let him
Yeah.
go. After that,
Yeah,
what I would
because
do.
it's like, it's not going to work. I mean, especially at this point when it's happened 4 times, like, that's not a coincidence anymore. I mean, like,
They don't want him winning a cup. He also went to the conference finals a few times again with the Ducks, the national year in 2017, where they should have beaten the Preds and they didn't. Like, at a certain point, you got bad juju.
He has a cup with.
He has the
Anaheim, doesn't
2007 cup with the
he?
Ducks.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the only one he has.
I follow a girl on Twitter who's a big Corey Perry fan,
That's
and
unfortunate.
she was like, if your team hasn't accomplished more since Corey Perry joined the league than he has, then I don't want to hear it. And she was like talking about all of his appearances. I'm like, the only reason anybody even realizes he's appeared so many times as the final is because he's lost so many times in the final. Like, nobody cares that he was the first loser every time. No, that's not a stat that goes in the record book. Like,
He pulled the opposite of Pat Maroon.
Yeah, Maroon. was
Maroon did the
winning
literally
every year.
complete opposite thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's
your
wrap
wife
up.
also messaged me superstitious when I couldn't think of the word.
Oh,
You guys were no help, and she messaged me. and
Very
said superstitious.
superstitious.
my wife's very smart.
Writings on the wall.
When we went to the Avs and Columbus game, she didn't know about the cannon, and I'd forgotten about it.
Oh no!
Because, like, so the first time it went off, I jumped a little bit, but she was like, "What in the hell is that thing going?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I probably should have warned you about this," but like, I legitimately forgot. It's not like I watch Blue Jackets games regularly to remember this was a thing. But
She
yeah,
just messaged me and said, I know who that guy is that you're talking about because he was the guy who was rumored to be sleeping with his teammate's mom.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
Corey Perry.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
was
he's
rumored-
Delonte West. Delonte West out
She
here. in the
kept it
streets.
up. Like,
Yes.
the fact that she remembers that that's his name. Well,
Oh
I
yeah,
did make a lot of Corey Perry comments on this podcast when all that was going on, though.
Yeah, last night when I was like, "Oh, good, Corey Perry lost." She's like, "I've heard that name. That's the player who was rumored to be sleeping with the player's mom, right?" I was
Poor
like,
Connor.
"Yes, that is exactly who Corey Perry is." I was like, "He sucks." It's like, never been a fan of him. No.
Yeah.
Wife knows a little bit. All right, everybody, we're gonna get out of here. Katie, do you want to plug anything?
Follow me on Twitter at Caden, KADEN _
Don't
Lee.
do that. All right,
Underscore
Cher
FTW. I
Delaware.
don't even know what my actual ad is.
Cher Delaware, do you want to plug anything?
No.
Fair. SP3.
True Hill Heat YouTube channel. I'll be live at 105 or 205 whenever I decide to go on there and talk about Monday Night Raw from last night and Bo Dallas Uncle Howdy interview. That's what I'm going to be talking mostly about. So check it out.
There you go. We'll be back next week talking NBA draft and the trades because we don't know any of these prospects who are about to be drafted. We're going to be talking hopefully some free agent news as well. Tune into In the Weeds tomorrow. We have an interview airing with TNA knockout Giselle Shaw. So that's airing tomorrow on In the Weeds. Bye, everybody.